So let's get into our program and our conversation. And Mariam, you'll get the quote. Now, retirement benefits, pension. We'll have a conversation at 8 on why it's important to save for your retirement. But for now, we want to understand that framework that governs our retirement benefits in the country. We have a regulator called the Retirement Benefits Authority, and today we have Tom Kiptanui, who is the Director of Market Conduct and Industry Development at the RBA. Tom, karibu sana.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Eric.
It's good to have you here. This is where we fix the nation.
Thank you. It's also good to be here today. I have always just watched this program, but I really want to thank Nation Media Group for affording us an opportunity so that we can be able to discuss issues retirement.
Yes, and it's important for people to understand what issues retirement actually pertain, because until a couple of years ago, when it came to matters of retirement, there was a lot of negativity around it, especially in people accessing their pensions.
That's right.
But I know things have changed, because we've had these conversations before of how things have changed in how our law is then structured, how we have a regulator in place, how retirement is then governed. That, you know, money that goes for retirement, there's a strict way of ensuring that your pesa ipotei.
That's right.
Endi kwa mto inaenda tu hivyo inajipata Indian Ocean.
Okay.
Or Lake Victoria. Mariam, you found the quote? Shortly. We'll get the quote later. But just to get into that conversation, for people who may not have interacted with the Retirement Benefits Authority before, just take us through that and then tell us, this directorate of yours, what exactly do you handle?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Eric, and good morning, viewers. Indeed, this is really a good opportunity for us, and I really want to thank Nation Media Group for having this particular expo. It is really timely that we continue to engage in terms of how well we prepare ourselves to retirement. The Retirement Benefits Authority is an institution of government which was set up in the year 1997 through an Act of Parliament, and thereafter the regulations were gazetted in the year 2000. It's important really to appreciate and know the background. Why was it that Retirement Benefits Authority was set up? Before then, we didn't have an institution that was charged with responsibility of ensuring that pension funds, which have been contributed by Kenyans, have actually been secured. Unlike other institutions which had regulators in the pension sector, we didn't have one. And so the Retirement Benefits Act of 1997 came in when government realized that pension is an area that we can no longer wish away in terms of accumulating funds and ensuring that we secure retirement for Kenyans. So in 2000, the regulations were gazetted, and that is when the Retirement Benefits Authority came into place. When RBA came into place, of course, there was a lot of suspicion as to why this institution had come into place. And so we needed to ensure that we bring on board all Kenyans to appreciate that this is an institution that has come in to ensure that there is safety on the funds that have been contributed towards their retirement. By then, we had almost 1,300 pension schemes that were out there, but because there was no regulator, we didn't know where those funds were. Schemes only needed to register with income tax for purpose of tax exemption. But then, should there have been a problem, then there was no way in which a member would actually be able to get reprieve and be able to get paid their money. Eric, there were instances that somebody would actually retire and you don't get your money, you go to your employer because the money was not separated from the employer's funds, and you would not get paid. And so from the year 2000, we ensured that we registered all the pension scheme. And registration here means that we actually gave them a registration certificate. Because by law, it was outlawed that you can no longer operate a retirement benefit scheme without a registration from the Retirement Benefits Authority. So we went into that and ensured that we identified all the pension schemes that they were in this country. So going forward, because really the intention of all this was to ensure we secure and importantly make sure that these funds are invested in the proper way. So the regulatory framework that was put in place, of course, brought in different players in the sector. The first one, of course, is the Board of Trustees. Legally, the law acknowledges that when a scheme has been set up, then it actually is given to a board of trustees. And the board of trustees is actually a representation from both the employer and also members of the pension scheme.
Trustees.
Trustees.
So explain that. It's a representation of the employer and?
And employees.
And employees.
That's right.
In an organization.
In an organization.
Okay.
And that is mainly for those which we call occupational pension schemes. These are schemes that have been started by the employer. I think it's also good to put it on record to say, in this country, it's not mandatory that an employer starts a pension scheme. The only statutory fund that we have is the National Social Security Fund. But the rest of the other schemes are started by employers, of course, to make sure that they also give an opportunity to their employees to contribute as they also contribute. So in terms of governance, that is an area that the Board of Trustees come on board. And I must really put it to say, members then got a voice. Unlike in the past, because then they would go to an election and they would be able to elect their representatives to sit in the Board of Trustees. And then they will be able to carry forward the management and governance of that particular scheme. The other player which has actually been given within the structure is, of course, the managers, because funds are actually accumulated, they are contributed. If you're in an occupational scheme where an employer is, most of it is out of checkoff. So trustees will then ensure that those funds have actually gone out for investments. And the regulatory framework came in to make sure that there are checks and balances. So the player here, manager, ensures that investments have been done properly. We have issued guidelines, investment guidelines of where those funds need to be invested. Another critical player who comes in is the custodian, and these are mainly banks. Custodians ensure that they safe custody of funds. So Eric, you'll appreciate, and Mariam, you'll appreciate that every month when money goes out, it's actually deducted and goes into a custody account. And the banks now, custodians, will now be able to advise the managers that we have received these funds from scheme A, B, C, D, make arrangements to invest those funds. Because ultimately what is required is for investments to be done, so that you can be able to grow that particular fund. So in terms of the governance structure, of course, with the regulator there, and then we have, of course, within the government, we fall under the Ministry of Finance or the National Treasury to ensure that we continue to update our regulations and the acts as we go along. It is good to also point out that these service providers, the ones I've talked about, are also regulated by the Retirement Benefits Authority. So the manager, the custodian, need to acquire a license from the Retirement Benefits Authority. And this license would be reviewed periodically to ensure that they continue to have what it takes for them to be able to give service. So that's when we started. But over time, we realized that there is need in terms of documentation and record keeping. A very critical point, which really is an issue that would also determine how well do you ensure that there is security of those particular funds, and importantly, how do you pay out members when they retire? So the law was amended to introduce another service provider by the name administrator. So an administrator takes care of the records of the scheme, ensures that all the documentations are put in place, ensure that the returns have actually been filed with the authority. So we have those three service providers who are major players in the retirement benefits structure to make sure that the governance structure is actually and running within the institution. So you also asked the directorate that I sit in, market conduct.
Before we come into that, just to look again at how this is structured. Number one, we only have one statutory requirement for pension and SSF.
That's right.
The others are voluntary.
That's right.
So an organization, so Mariam and Eric Enterprises, decides to open a scheme for its employees. So we call that whatever Mariam Enterprises, whatever pension scheme.
That's right.
One of us, being the employer, gets into the into the trustee, and an employee like Wangeshi, who's our manager, becomes a member of the trustees. So these are just, their job is to have a say on who is picked among these three and how we manage our scheme, right?
That's right.
Okay. Then you said there's a manager who is an expert in investments.
That's right.
Who will be the one who decides the money that goes that we have received, we're investing, we're buying land, we are buying shares here, we are lending the government with bonds, or we are forming a consortium that will do the next expressway.
Right.
And so on and so forth.
That's right.
But the money that we deduct from Wangeshi and ourselves as employees goes into a custodian.
Right.
That's right.
This must be a bank?
Yes. In terms of the way the law is, because in any case, this is an institution which has the structures.
Okay.
And has been actually registered by Central Bank of Kenya. And the structures, as I said, for us to be able to have safeguards, you need an institution where we can be able to know how they operate, what is it that they really do, how has it been registered. And so that collaboration to say that this custodian must be a bank is deliberate in law. I think, Eric, you remember that there were certain instances in the past where we had schemes, pony schemes, where, people were putting in their money.
Yeah.
I don't know whether you remember those schemes,
Yes.
where people actually put in their retirement funds. We had those schemes which came in, and even when we tried to go out for those schemes, it was very difficult.
Yeah.
Even government itself could not really be able to track. And so it was deliberate that we need to have these pension funds.
Yeah.
When they actually leave the employer, then they need to go to an institution which is also regulated. And that's why it is a requirement that it has to be a bank.
Okay. So the bank has two regulators in this case. It has the CBK.
That's right.
As a regulator for the bank, but also you have licensed this bank to act as custodian.
custodians. That's right.
So they also must have this license from you.
That's right.
Okay.
And the close working relationship, of course, because we are all in the financial sector. So we work and exchange information in respect of this particular institution.
Right.
But primarily, it is Central Bank.
Central.
Which is actually the primary regulator.
Okay.
That's right.
As we get deeper into the conversation, I'll come back to whether we're thinking of expanding that, because now we have many forms of currency, should I call it, whether, crypto, things like that. And if the RBA is thinking about regulating or, getting into that side of things. But before that, when it comes to retirement planning, paint the general landscape for me across the country, just with numbers. How many of us are contributors to the NSSF? Those within, the contributing age. As Kenyans, how many private pension schemes exist, if you have the numbers, perhaps? And in general, how prepared are Kenyans for retirement?
Okay. Thank you very much, Mariam. That's a very good question. The reason why, of course, Retirement Benefits Authority was started, one is to ensure that the sector has been regulated. That's the primary role. As I said, when we came on board, we didn't know where these pensions funds were. And as soon as that was secured, the next thing was now really, how do we ensure that those Kenyans who already don't have an arrangement in as far as saving for retirement are actually brought in. The issue of inclusivity.
Yes.
Because that is very important. And so we actually embarked on ensuring that we don't just make sure that this remains an arrangement for those who are in employment. We now also went out and registered other schemes. And these are the individual pension plans, which is really an avenue for those who are doing their daily cause. They are doing other things out there, hustling out there, but they can still be able to save towards retirement. We also registered what we call umbrella pension schemes. These are schemes where small employers, like the one Eric talked about, you could have a small...
The Mariam and Eric.
Yes, where you may not really want to establish your own pension scheme, but your employees, maybe you are 5 or 10.
Right.
And so you are looking at the cost of running that particular scheme, then you say it may be high, but you are deliberate in as far as wanting to ensure that your employees get a pension fund. So we registered an umbrella scheme, which brings in many employers to come on board. So as soon as that has been done now, it was our responsibility through our developmental agenda to make sure that we actually do outreach programs, carry out education, ensure that there's a platform for which we bring on board those in the informal sector. Because in this country, we have around 74% of our Kenyans who are not in any
formally
scheme.
employed, yes.
Yeah, formally employed. And not in a pension scheme, because coverage as it stands is around 26%.
Okay.
So we still have a lot yet there where people will need to reach out. So as we do that, then we actually ensure that we give them that particular platform for them to be able to save towards retirement. So that's the agenda that we have actually gone in generally to make sure that we continue to bring in more Kenyans. And we are anticipating that we need to grow this particular number to around 34% by 2029.
Okay.
That is when we'll retire the current strategic plan that we have. So in National Social Security Fund, as you said, of course, it's statutory, and the membership will be around 3.5 million. The number of Kenyans that we have saving for retirement now is over 7 million Kenyans. These are people now who have opened accounts in various pension arrangements across board. And these are actually we can be able to account for and say they're either individual pension plan, they're either in occupational plans, but of course the majority are within the National Social Security Fund.
Right.
Which is statutory. You know, it's for everybody.
It is, yes.
Including even those people who work for us.
Yeah.
And I want to encourage all of us and say, you know, let's allow them. You know, if you have somebody working in a farm and you have somebody working in your house, it says a requirement actually by law that you need to contribute at least 6% for them.
Yes.
As they also contribute 6%
For themselves.
to secure retirement.
I'm thinking through the biggest myths, misconceptions, or a general attitude towards retirement. And I think the enemy you're fighting is the idea that siniko na watoto. What do you mean save for retirement?
That's right.
That person running there, that's my retirement plan.
Yeah.
From yes, a communication and education perspective, what is the RBA doing? I know it's more of a regulatory role,
That's
but
right.
just to basically get people to understand that yes, one, NSSF is a mandatory contribution, it's statutory, and then that they do need to be proactive. We all need to be proactive for retirement from a young age, and that yes, you cannot rely on future generations as a retirement scheme.
Thank you. Thank you, Mariam. That's a very good thing. And RBA, we have always had that rallying call that your children is not your retirement plan. For obvious reasons that in the past, of course, if you allow me, traditionally, that is how it was viewed. Our parents would take us to school so that we can be able to come and assist them.
Yeah.
In the old, you know, as you look back, way back, you know, even families were actually large in terms of making sure that parents actually have a way in which they can be able to get that kind of assistance from their children. But the age at which we are living in, and statistics actually would bear me witness that we have taken our children to school, and because they are not able to secure employment out there, we end up supporting these children post-education. And I'm sure if we take that census, a lot of those children will still be staying in their parents' home, eating from their parents' home as they go out there to look for her.
Yeah.
So what we have done as Retirement Benefits Authority is to ensure that we educate the public to know that in as much as you have that responsibility to take care of your children, give them the necessary needs, there is need also to take care of yourself. And that is why we are saying in these pension arrangements, it is available for everybody. However small it is, as you actually go out there to meet your daily needs, and we know resources are scarce, but set aside something small for yourself so that you can be able to secure your retirement. Whether your children come through or not, you will have something to live on. So that is the education that we're giving the public, and even the conversation that we've had even yesterday talking about how well do we plan for retirement. It really centered a lot on the avenues that we have availed, and I've talked about the structures. Where can you go? The individual pension plans are available. Occupational schemes are available.
I'll push back on that in the next hour at 8 to 10, because we'll be having the other players in the room, the actual players. I'll push back on that, on the education, on the creating awareness on the need for saving for retirement, and whether you actually, all of you in that ecosystem are actually doing a good job about it. But let's take a break. When we come back, I want to get back into this, why we have such a low coverage of pension schemes in the country, or pension contributors in the country, and how this framework is looking like. What are those things that are making people not see the benefit of saving for retirement, and even the ecosystem, how it's structured. We're having a conversation with Tom Kiptanui. He's a director for market conduct and industry development at the Retirement Benefits Authority. As we have this conversation all here today, the whole day, you can come and join us at KICC because it's the East Africa Pension Conference and Expo at the KICC. Talking about retirement benefits. Back in a moment, 29 after 7. Indeed. Our conversation continues with Tom Kiptanui, Director for Market Conduct and Industry Development at the Retirement Benefits Authority, on the regulatory framework for pensions in this country. As we went to the break, you explained to us how it's structured and the penetration. You said we've got about 26% coverage.
That's right.
In Kenya.
Yes.
But that's 7 million Kenyans.
That's right.
Okay. 7 out of 50 million is not 26%.
We're not all over the age of 18, Eric.
Oh, it's okay.
Or working.
Yeah, thank you. Mariam,
I get it. It's about those who are above 18.
And those who are actually in employment.
Those in employment?
Or rather, those who are actually over 18, they can now be able to take up employment. 18 plus is where now you can allow somebody to be able to get into meaningful employment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Still 26, you said, is still low. You're still hoping to grow it to 35% in the next 4 years.
Yeah, by 2029, we're looking at 34%.
What would it take for you to get there?
Thank you. It's a combination of many things. What we've actually noted is that, of course, the culture of saving is what we need to inculcate in various forms, starting from those who are actually gotten into the work environment. It's very important that as we carry out our education, we actually structured in such a way that we target those who are coming into employment. But even before then, we are looking at a situation where we need to ensure that even at a younger age, we need to be able to give information, and this goes to our schools, so that there can be a curriculum that they can actually start learning about saving for retirement. I don't know how early did you get to know about saving for retirement, or saving
Not
in any
early
form,
enough.
in
Not
any form,
early enough. Yeah.
Even those days when you're given some money, pocket money, you're
told to save.
You're told to save.
But not for retirement.
But not for retirement.
Yeah, for a rainy day. That's
for a rainy day. Now, this is what we want now to convert. That rainy day should actually be taken longer enough to go and towards retirement, especially when you get in the work environment. So that's the first thing that we need to do, to be able to ensure that the culture of saving has actually been improved in this country.
So what have you done about that? Have you talked to the Ministry of Education?
Yes, we have.
To include this in the curriculum?
Yes, we've actually developed a curriculum, working with Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development, working closely with the financial sector regulators, because financial literacy cuts across. It's not just within pension. The moment you actually get inclusion and financial literacy, and then you can actually be able to bring then your point forward and say you need to have a segment where you can be able to save towards retirement. So we are looking at the new education system that is coming in, of course, the CBC, to ensure that we continue to do that. In other countries, this has really been very successful. If I give a country like Japan, where the culture is inculcated from a very early age, and we borrowed that from other countries to make sure that we do that. So that is already work in progress, and we look forward to having this actually incorporated within the system that is in place, so that we can actually be able to go into the universities again. If you can have certain modules that you talk about issues to do with retirement,
right,
then you can appreciate, and actually comes out to what you were saying earlier on. Our children are not really retirement, so they also need to plan for themselves.
For their own retirement.
What is the target date? You have a strategy that ends in 2029.
29, that's right.
And you want to see that by then, you're already in conversations with the KICD to develop a curriculum. When do you target to actually see this being rolled out?
It's before the end of this particular period. As I said, it's already not work, it's already been done. So we're actually looking at ways in which, when you come up with a curriculum, actually breaking it down now and including within the system is what needs to be done. The curriculum is already been put in place, and this is now what we want to see, how that can actually be input within the system that is in place. And actually that is going to drive our agenda. As I said, yeah, the results may not come by 2029. And this is the next strategy that I want to talk about in terms of outreach for us to really be able to go out. The curriculum is long-term because the results may not come by 2029.
Yeah.
Of course, our target now is maybe when those children now will be coming to the work environment, then that time they will actually have started saving towards retirement. But then, for those who are already in existence, outreach programs is very important for us. You know, having meetings, going out, partnering with institutions like MSMEs, partnering with chamas, because that's an area that is a lot in terms of investments. We go out, so they invite us, or we actually put them together. Partner with institutions like Kenya Women Networks, yes, looking at Kenya Chamber of Commerce as well, you know, looking at Federation of Kenya Employers, so that whenever they have their forums, so we call those employers, because there are many employers who are out there, as I said, who don't have a pension scheme for their employees. And what they need is for us to be able to talk to them and be able to assure them that as they start this scheme is for the benefit of the employees. So we have a structure in which from Retirement Benefits Authority we are going out on outreach programs to engage these particular institutions and be able to sensitize them towards saving for retirement. That is now what we are engaging in, so that we make sure that by 2029, at least we are able to achieve that particular target, or even surpass it as we go to the next strategy that we are going to cover.
Good strategy.
Yeah.
So how are you actually doing it? Do you have a database of schemes, of members, of SACCOs, and so on and so forth, that you're saying we have reached out to X number of people in the last 1 year, and from that, we've actually been able to convert this number of people to start saving for their retirement?
Yes.
Is there anything that you can show us that there's an indication that this strategy is working?
That's right. That's a good question. The structure that we put in place, and remember, as Retirement Benefits Authority, we don't actually register members. So the numbers that I've given you, which we monitor from time to time, the number of 7 million, when we go out on these outreach programs and partner with them, we carry with us the various service providers who have started individual pension plans. And most of them are actually represented in this expo, where they actually, when we go in to talk to members, be it SACCOs, as I've said, then they come with us. They invite us. That's part of our strategy. So that as we give the message, they are the ones now who will be able to onboard these particular members to register into their pension scheme. And so we monitor that. We see on a yearly basis how is the growth in as far as the numbers are concerned. And that is why we are saying every year we actually look at it when we do our returns, because this will be captured in the returns that come to the Retirement Benefits Authority. When the schemes give us their returns, they will be able to tell us the numbers in terms of membership, and we'll be able now to see how well we've been able to do in that particular area.
Okay. I just want to deviate a little bit and ask, we've spoken about the late entry into the job market for a lot of young people.
Yeah.
So, yes, their parents should not be depending on them as a retirement plan. Fine. They also need to plan for their own retirement as soon as possible. This delayed age of entry into the job market, what does it do for retirement planning from a national perspective and from an individual perspective? Because people are finding gainful employment late into their 20s or even early into their 30s. What does that do for retirement planning?
Yes, the issue of retirement planning should not really be pegged on whether you actually have come to the job market. This is what we have actually noted. And that is where the conversation that we need to, in as far as our messaging is concerned, is to package it in such a way that we only not target those are already contributing. We need to target even those who already have not started, so that they are aware. And if I can make reference to the conversation we had, I think the night before yesterday on X, which was actually anchored by NTV, it actually had a very good traction. And those people may not necessarily just be already contributing, because we were discussing how well do you plan for retirement. We got a very good turnout. And I think that really tells us that the conversation is about, is my money safe, even before people start saving for retirement? Is it possible to say that if I put my shilling out there, then that money will be accessible to me? And that is the journey you start for retirement. We always say retirement starts from accumulation stage where you're actually putting something. But before that money is put out, is the structure, is the environment right for me to be able to put out that money? So yes, we actually need to go deeper, not just waiting for people to come in the job market. Even those who already are not working, we need to give them that information using the various channels.
But I have to differ because I can plan for the retirement when I'm not in the job market, but essentially if I'm not earning, then I'm not contributing to a scheme. I'm unable to contribute to the NSSF or to a private scheme. So then that still means that, one, I have fewer working years, then as a result, a smaller pension package. That's what I'm looking at, as opposed to, I could know that I need to be saving for retirement, but I'm not.
But you have no income.
Yeah, I have no income.
And this is where we have to change tact. I think as we go forward, we are actually not saying you must save through a retirement benefit scheme.
Okay.
And the conversation that we have, of course, it is the most secure way because it's regulated. But we have also noticed that as we engage out there, talk to the farmers in the field, they will actually tell you that they are already, in a way, preparing themselves towards retirement. And so we throw in and say, yes, as you do that, there is a much more safe way where you can actually be able to put something small coming out of that. But the message that needs to go out is that at one time, you will retire. Irrespective of what you're doing. If you're a farmer, if you're a driver, if you're actually working, maybe you're a fishmonger or somebody, you know, the people who really had a challenge is somebody will tell you, I'll work until I drop dead. But you see what happens to you if you're incapacitated. You need to have something to be able to fall back to. So this is where the conversation has gone into, to say, as we focus a lot in terms of us bringing people into the pension arrangement, this conversation about retirement planning should actually go to the wider Kenyan, so that even whatever they do, they can still know that at some stage they will retire.
So you start saving whatever kind of small income you have. You have retirement at the back of your mind.
That's right.
Okay.
And
still a bit tricky, right? From a young person's perspective.
I think so, but also I think I agree with Tom in terms of if we change the mindset. Because if we are thinking that I need to have a regular income so that I can have a regular saving plan, then that already throws you off. But if you don't have to think, we are so conditioned into monthly things. I do monthly, I have a monthly salary, I do a monthly contribution to my SACCO, I do a monthly repayment of my loan, I do a monthly, so that 30-day cycle is what maybe we need to debunk and start thinking, I don't have to make a contribution to my pension scheme on a monthly basis. Is there a structure that can allow me to make on as available basis? So if Nikipata, I can put. If the next time I get is tomorrow, I can put. If the next time I get is after 60 days, I can also put.
And that's why we have come up with the flexible programs. You know, if you look at the individual pension plans, they're as flexible as you are able to put in your money. It doesn't necessarily say you put it every month. They are flexible. You could actually have it every other 3 months. You can have it 6 months. You can have it on annual basis. So as you go out there to talk to people who probably, let's say farmer, you know, who probably will go plow his land, be able to harvest at the end of the year, you actually let them know that there's an avenue where they can be able to put a certain percentage of their funds to secure. And as you rightly put it, Eric, you know, when we are so much conditioned on income that comes in every other day, when that stream of income actually goes out, is when you realize that there are needs that you need to be able to serve. So as we package our program, we need to let them know that even whatever you are doing, it could actually be temporary. And you need to start thinking about what happens in the event that you don't have that particular arrangement. Yesterday, we had a very interesting conversation with the young people here. And there's a lady who came in, a Gen Z, and we had to take time to convince her. Because she said, I'm already well taken care of. Why do you want to tell me about saving towards retirement? Mimi nimejipanga, nimepangwa tayari, so mbona unanielekeza maneno ya 30 years to come. And tulimweleza ya kuwa, you know, hiyo pesa ambayo uko nayo saizi, you might be comfortable now. But what happens if that particular cover for which you are enjoying now is not there? And by the end of it all, we're happy that at least she was able to see the sense that in as much as she has something now, where she's comfortable, she needs to put something on the side. And I've talked about one can be incapacitated. You know, you can go into ill health. What happens? If you have issues of medical, what happens? You know, it becomes very expensive. And you can only be able to fall back to that if you already have a savings that you put aside.
You're very right. I wanted to go into the various ways in which these monies are invested, right, when they do go into the schemes. For example, that headline that we were reading earlier on, the NSSF partnering with China Road and Bridge to build is it an expressway? Yes, but basically Nairobi.
To expand the Nairobi, the Rironi Mau Summit.
Yes, that one. I've seen very good, what would I call them, best case scenarios globally of pension schemes that make great investments, and as a result, everybody reaps really, really big. What are the guidelines and regulations as far as investing pension monies in ways like this? How do we foolproof and make sure that we get the best for the pensioners at the end of the day?
Thank you. Very good question, and it falls back to what I said earlier on. But part of what we needed to do is to ensure that as we secure these pension funds, the investment arrangement, also the environment is actually secured as well.
Yes.
And so we came up with guidelines, which is within the regulations, where now pension funds are guided on where to invest. And it's all really about ensuring that those funds are not exposed as much. In as much as the tactical approach and really how those pension funds would still be within the trustees. Remember I said about the trustees, who are the legal owners of the funds.
Yes.
Of course, with advisory from the manager, who are experts in investments. But they still need to invest those funds within that particular program, where we call it Table G, which is in the regulations. So this is an area that, of course, we tell trustees, it's up to you. We give them maximums, be tactical, be able to carry out research to see where you are able to get returns. Because the whole issue is really about getting returns for your members. So pension funds have actually been largely invested within government securities for the reasons that people feel they are secure. But it's a concern that we've also seen because there's a lot of concentration within that particular investment. We have people who have invested in property. We have people, of course, who are invested in the NSC, you know, and this is an area that, of course, a lot of trading actually does happen, you know, and pension funds play a major role in this particular arena. So the 15 asset classes that we've provided, it's for the trustees, for them to be able to see where they can be able to invest. Of course, with the coming in now of more funds, we've realized that we need to ensure that we have alternative ways of investments. And we are really in a conversation to be able to ensure that these investment guidelines are broadened as much as possible, but not losing the fact that funds needs to be secure. I know earlier on you talked about cryptocurrencies and all that. We are actually, looking at that and say, is it really viable? Because that's the direction to go. And how do we ensure that they are safe, and what kind of regulations come in? I saw yesterday, of course, we are talking about alternative assets that have come on board. We are talking about virtual assets, which actually is coming on board. This is an area that we can no longer ignore. And the regulations need to be in place so that we secure not only pension funds, but we also secure the country at large of people who are investing on this. The Rironi Mau Summit Road is something that is very much welcomed, and pension funds cannot really stay away from this kind of investments. Alternative assets is what has been encouraged, and through infrastructure, which is provided for, where pension funds can invest up to 10%. So the direction that National Social Security Fund...
Up to 10% of their portfolio?
Of the total portfolio. So the direction that NSSF has taken is very much welcomed. Of course, as a regulator, we are still there to make sure that those limits are not violated. And as far as the investment policy has actually made provisions for that particular investment. But I can tell you, we need to support the economy and be able to support the country in making sure that the funds that are within are actually utilized for the infrastructure that we have. You talked about other jurisdictions. I'm happy that you've actually Notice that in other jurisdictions, pension funds play a major role.
They do.
You build bridges, you actually build hostels, you actually do many other things and roads.
True.
And a good example is if you go to Upper Hill, the Tanzanian government is actually developing their chancery, just opposite the British High Commission, close to where our offices are.
Yeah.
And if you see whoever is developing that is NSSF Tanzania. So that tells you that we need to also go that direction.
Yeah.
The only thing is, as long as safeguards and actually trustees have been able to comply with the requirements in as far as the investment guidelines are concerned.
Right. Sometimes even from a much riskier perspective, I've seen pension funds invest in venture capital,
That's right.
things like that, and it's very high risk, high reward. But if played right, it goes well. If not, so yes, that's why we have a regulator to say we're up,
and you balance
you balance, your portfolio. You need to make sure that you actually diversify as much as possible.
Yes.
Even in our own lives, when you have something you want to invest, you look at the high risk areas, and some of them are moderate, some are conservative.
Yeah.
What some of the members are looking at is they go towards retirement, they want as much as possible to be conservative because they are about to exit.
Yep.
And so the trustees need to look at the age profile in as far as their membership is concerned, so that exposure is actually going to match the profile of their membership. So that when Eric retires, he would not really have his funds having been taken to high-risk area and get very low returns at the time of retirement. But if Mariam is still probably have many years to go, then you can be able to explore much more risk areas. And we are looking at how members now can be able to have choices in as far as investments are concerned.
We'll talk about the very many complaints. I mean, you deal with market conduct.
That's right.
And this is where I think you're also dealing with complaints that come from either these entities, the manager, custodian, administrator, in their own dealings, or maybe the contributors to pension schemes and how they feel that they're being treated by their various schemes.
That's right.
What's the biggest area of concern that comes to your desk?
Thank you. As part of our agenda and the mandate that has been given to us in the Act is the protection of members and sponsors of the pension schemes. Remember, this is a scheme that has been established, and members, of course, and employers are contributing to it. So as part of our protection agenda, to look at conduct issues, we actually ensure that the consumer has been protected, who is the member in this case, but also it goes on to the employer as well, because they also have a role and they are stakeholders in this arrangement. So over the period of time, and for us to be able to create confidence, is how well do you manage and address complaints that come in. So we have a fully fledged section that actually handles complaints within the institution, and as you asked, the complaints that come in mainly is non-payment of benefits within time. The law requires that when you exit, you need to have your benefits paid within 30 days. And so if for any reason those benefits are not paid, of course, the first point of call for a member is to their board of trustees, because they are the ones who have the money. In the event that is not done within 30 days, then they have recourse where they can now be able to come to the Retirement Benefits Authority, where now we play the role of an arbiter to look at really what were the reasons as to why these benefits have not been paid. And the reasons could be varied. Maybe there could be miscalculation of benefits, where a member's benefits have not been properly kept. Remember, I talked about record keeping?
Yes.
Where you look at your statement, administrators are in, you look at your statement, what you wanted and your expectation of retirement is not matching. And this is where we tell our members, please always look at your statement. Every year when you're giving your statement, look at it. So we'll be able to look at that and get back to the trustees. The second one, of course, is where we have non-remittance of contributions. And I know this has really been in the public domain. It's been in the media, where employers are not remitting contributions on time. It's a serious issue that comes in, and a member retires and they are not being paid their benefits within time. There is a way in which the law has made provisions on how to be able to go through that, to ensure that our intervention comes in for those members to be paid.
Is it an illegality for an employer not to remit statutory deductions?
Yes, it is. It's statutory. As long as it's been provided for within the trustees, then it's illegal. And that's why
for a statutory one.
Yes, even the pension, because it's already a promise that you've given. And this money already has been deducted from an employee. through your pay slip, that money has already been deducted, not been remitted to the pension scheme. So the law is now being looked into to ensure that that's actually is a criminal issue, that if an employer has actually not remitted those contributions.
So as it stands, is it a gray area of sorts? Can I take an employer or a former employer to court for not remitting NSSF deductions? Yes,
you can. But what we always encourage our members is you wouldn't want to go into an extent of spending so much money to get a lawyer to go to court. We have a mechanism within the Retirement Benefits Authority, within the provisions of the law, where you can be able to seek redress. You complain, and then we take it up from there on your behalf to ensure that those benefits have been paid. And where employers, of course, have not remitted contributions as required, we'd expect them to give us a plan of how to come out of that. If they don't, we take it into interim administration on that particular scheme. And ultimately, if it doesn't happen, we actually apply for liquidation to have that scheme liquidated, and then now a liquidator can go after the assets of that particular employer to ensure those benefits have been recovered.
Oh, very nice. Yeah. We'll continue this conversation about retirement benefits. Why save for retirement? The people who are asking, I'm sorted now. What am I thinking about 40 years from today? Why Save for Retirement will be joined by other people alongside our current guest, who is Tom Kiptanui, the Director for Market Conduct and Industry Development at the Retirement Benefits Authority. We'll have others joining us shortly. Keep it here for that conversation. It's now 8 a.m. Good morning.